everyone, I'm Reagan.
And I'm Addie.
And this is Just Weird Crap. Hello everybody, and
Hello!
welcome back. Today I will be talking about a very strange event called...
And that is Reagan that's going to be talking.
Yes, this is Reagan. Hi.
In case you can't tell our voices apart, I am the one that sounds kind of like a man sometimes. And Reagan is the delicate fairy-like creature sitting across from me. Also, we both have like nose and allergy issues right now, so
it's springtime.
It's springtime. Pollen is everywhere, so sorry about that.
Congestion.
But anyway, Reagan, take it away. What are you going to be... Gross. What are you going to be telling the world about today?
I'm going to be telling the world about something that probably is a decent amount of people already know about, but it's the Kentucky meat showers of 1876.
You say that like that's something that people actually know about.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've seen like other podcasts covering.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea about it until you told me.
There's actually a lot of information out there about it. It's like people are weirdly obsessed with it.
Well, now we can jump on that bandwagon.
Yep. Hopefully, I'm right on time with this. So I guess I'll just jump right in with the story.
Okay.
Picture this.
Okay.
On a clear, sunny morning in 1876, in a small town in Bath County, Kentucky, a farmer's wife was making soap in her yard.
As one does.
Yes.
I was just doing that this morning.
And she's just doing her job, doing her thing, and chunks of raw red meat began falling from the sky. Hopefully, just as an aside, hopefully this episode doesn't gross anybody out. I'll just put this out there. There is a little bit of talk of tissue and vomit.
Trigger warning for tissue and vomit. If that offends you, honestly, I get it.
Wait till next week. We'll have something else that doesn't involve vomit. Okay. This continued for several minutes, and when it finally stopped, the ground was littered with chunks of meat ranging in size from small flakes to pieces several inches long. And altogether, it covered an area of the Crouch's property. That was their name. Mm-hmm. It was the Crouch family. And it covered an area about 100 yards by 50 yards.
Ooh, that's a lot.
And eventually the meat was gathered up, and it actually filled up a horse-drawn wagon, like the back of a wagon. It might be kind of hard to picture this day and age.
Yeah, what's the size? Oh, yeah, a wagon.
A
wagon full. I know that measurement.
At this point, it wouldn't have been something that was unknown to most people.
It's like if you have a Ford F-150, you fill the back of that up. Right?
That's what I'm imagining. Maybe bigger. I don't know.
Maybe bigger.
I'll have to do some research.
A Ford F-250. I don't know.
I don't really know the size of wagons.
It's a lot of meat, though.
Ooh. Yeah, a lot. Citizens disagreed on what kind of meat it was. Mm-hmm. Most people thought it was beef or mutton, while a local hunter swore that it was bear meat.
Ew.
Apparently he was familiar with bear meat. A few brave and possibly very foolish men even decided to taste some of it.
Ugh. I was gonna ask if someone ate it.
Several people did.
Ew.
I don't know what they were just like cool with random raining meat.
Oh, sky meat, my favorite.
Most of them agreed that the meat tasted like venison or mutton.
Ugh, that just makes it worse.
Which is gross by
those
itself.
Those are the worst types of meat.
But, I mean, it's better than bear meat. The local butcher, though, he tasted some as well, and he declared that it was unlike anything he'd ever eaten.
He would know.
Yeah, I mean, he should know meat. Some of the townspeople actually sent samples of the meat out to different universities to be examined by scientists. And one of the scientists claimed that it was lung tissue from either a horse or a human child.
Okay. Wow. Why?
I don't know.
Why was it not, like, why specifically a human child?
Apparently, they were able to tell that. I'm not sure.
Or a horse. Like, I like
Apparently
how they're
similar.
I like how they're like, okay, so, cool fact. Horses and human childs have very similar lungs.
Human childs.
A human child, yeah.
Never mind.
Isn't that what you said?
I said human child, but it was just cute because you were like human childs.
Human childs. Multiple humans. But apparently they have very similar lungs. I didn't know that.
that was apparently the tissue from a horse lung and a human child's lung.
It can only be those two things.
Nothing else similar to that.
Well, that's weird and creepy.
Yeah, also very disturbing. While the type of meat is undoubtedly a mystery in its own right, a bigger question is how it came to be falling from the sky.
Yes. Ew.
The Crouch's first thought actually was that it was some sort of divine warning or sign. Which, I mean, I might be thinking that too if meat started raining down in my backyard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing, but honestly, I don't really know what else
None of the other explanations actually are that much better.
I don't know what else you can really take that as. Like, ugh.
This might sound a bit far-fetched, of course, but yeah, the other theories, it's like, you know what? Maybe it was a divine warning. So we know today that several of the theories that were proposed at the time are just impossible. They're ludicrous, but honestly, I'm just gonna share them for fun because you might laugh.
I want
just
to
for the entertainment value.
Maybe one of them is true.
Yeah, well, probably not. My personal favorite is the theory that somewhere in Kentucky, 2 men got into a knife fight, and pieces of them were caught in a whirlwind, and then they rained down in the Crouch's yard.
See, no, I don't know why you're laughing. What's so far-fetched about that?
What kind
I'm
of
just
knife
kidding.
fight chops you into pieces the size of, like, an inch wide? I really don't think I need to explain why I have some problems with this theory.
It could happen. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that sounds like a very specific crime. Like,
very specific. Another explanation appeared in the New York Times, claiming that the meat may have come from outer space.
oh, well, that
It was the
is
flesh
true.
of some sort of extraterrestrial animal from a planet that had exploded.
Okay, now let's unpack this here, though. No one can identify the meat. It tastes weird, and it came from the sky. What about that doesn't make sense?
The Earth's atmosphere would incinerate anything that came through it.
Oh.
That's why, like,
Okay, I forgot you're smarter than
on
me.
fire and stuff. But they didn't know this at the time. This is the late 1800s.
Yeah.
They weren't aware of
At the time, that actually isn't a bad
no one had
theory.
gone to outer space, so...
Or apparently, if you're
It was a pretty plausible theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a less laughable, but still, in my opinion, pretty unlikely theory is that the mystery meat was not actually meat at all, but a type of bacteria.
Ew.
Shoot, I should have looked up how to say this. A nostoc, I think.
Let me see.
Nostoc. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Nostoc.
I don't know how else
I don't know. I'll just... It's also called, like, witch's jelly, and
Ew.
it's got common names.
Witch's jelly. Gross.
Yeah, or there's also fairy jelly and sky jelly, which sounds a little nicer.
Okay. I'm learning a lot. I didn't know about this.
I didn't really know about this either. But it lives in colonies and swells and takes on a jelly-like consistency when it becomes wet. So, like, after rain.
But, like, does it look like meat?
I will get to that.
Okay.
In past times, it was thought to fall from the sky because it was only visible after rain, after it got wet. So it just appeared. It looked like it appeared out of nowhere. So honestly, it's not
It
super
makes
weird
sense.
to think that. Yeah.
Not really weird.
Sorry.
Especially for
1870s.
1870s, yeah.
So this theory claims that nothing unusual actually fell from the sky. It was just a normal rain, and then it swelled. But the problem is that it's, like, Mrs. Crouch specifically said that the sky was completely clear.
Yeah.
So she was the only eyewitness.
Oh.
And she said there was nothing in the sky.
Weird.
Another thing is that the colonies of this bacteria are usually brown, yellow, or green in color. And I looked at photos of this, and I saw very little resemblance to the red meat described in the accounts of the shower.
Yeah, because I'd feel like at some point someone would be like, this doesn't look like meat.
Yeah. I mean, meat has, like, fiber
and sinew.
Yeah. And that is pretty much the biggest strike against this theory, is that the pieces of the meat examined by several different scientists were found to contain pieces of muscle fiber and cartilage, as well as lung tissue. So they agree on the lung tissue thing.
Yeah.
So
we're sure that it's lungs from something. Human child's. I hope not human child's. That's a horrible thought.
Yeah, and also, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Now, I will cover the maybe not most likely, but generally the theory that people think is probably the most accepted. Okay. Thank you. Word soup was coming out of my mouth.
The theory.
I can't exactly call this a likely explanation. It's probably just the least unlikely. It's kind of a disgusting thing to contemplate, but today most experts believe that the chunks of meat that fell from the sky were in fact vulture vomit. Yeah, that's what I said, vulture vomit.
But okay. Well, I'll let you. I have questions, but continue.
See if I can answer your question.
Okay. Was there okay, so there's a lot of meat.
Yes.
It's not like it would, because if it had just been a couple pieces, I'd be like, that makes so much sense. But it was a wagon full.
Well, vultures do often hang out in flocks.
But that is, I mean, how many?
They really overate that.
Vultures.
Some gluttonous vultures.
Seriously. And, like, was there, like, a swarm? And vultures are big, too. So was there, like, this giant swarm of humongous birds circling the sky and vomiting?
Well,
I guess we only have one eyewitness.
But yeah, that's the only explanation that anyone can come up with that even makes remotely a little bit of sense. It is a known behavior of vultures that they vomit when they feel threatened.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Just like meet someone in a dark alley and you're like, whoa.
Well, that actually kind of makes sense when you get to the reasons. It makes them lighter if they have to fly, and they're already big birds. So
makes sense, yeah.
It's also a defense mechanism. Apparently, their vomit is very like corrosive.
Oh, ew.
And acidic.
Gross. Oh,
gross. You can like peel the paint off a car.
No way.
So I mean, it would slow someone down vomiting on them.
That's gross.
It was so gross researching this.
Ew. Reagan really took one for the team, you guys.
Yeah, I don't know whether... I tried to look up whether they can pull this off while they're flying.
Oh, that's a good question, yeah.
Because it would make sense that they would, like, barf and then take off. But
or maybe barf and fly.
I could not look this up. There's really not much on the internet about whether vultures can vomit while they're flying. Surprisingly.
Shocking. I'm surprised more people don't want that information.
Yeah. Got questions. I'm honestly not sure I want to know any more about vulture vomit than I already do.
Okay, but I do have a question.
What?
One more question. Can I ask it now, or should I wait? Okay.
No,
again, gross. So if you're already this deep into it, you're probably okay with vomit and stuff. But, like, when the meat fell from the sky, was it, like, covered in barf, or was it just, like, pieces of meat?
Well, I don't know. Birds I don't think they digest things the same way we do. So maybe if they'd eaten really recently, it would
just come right up with
yeah.
Ugh, okay, well.
On my browser history after this episode has gotten really weird. I never imagined that I would be typing in the sentence, "Can vultures vomit while in midair?"
It's like if one of us dies, I'll go in and delete your search history.
Thank you.
No one, like,
still got all those tabs open, and I'm like, ooh. Hopefully no one sees this.
She was really into vulture vomit for whatever reason.
There's actually a lot of stories about it. Like, there's several articles have been written about vulture vomit.
It's not the worst thing that you can have on your computer.
Yeah, because it's like why you shouldn't scare vultures and stuff.
What I wonder is, like, how many people have come across vultures and scared them and then been like, hey guys, just FYI, don't scare vultures. Exactly.
That's so I saw things like that where, like, okay, don't scare vultures if you
really?
Because apparently it can actually kind of burn your skin, which begs the question, how are people able to pick it up and eat it? Like, you'd think somebody would have been like, this is...
Ouch.
My skin is peeling off.
This meat hurts. Yeah, that's true. You think, and when they sent it off, you think someone would have noticed that there's, like, the meat.
Stomach acid.
Also, does that mean vultures are eating horses and human childs?
Well, I mean, that is just one scientist's opinion, and it is 1876, so I don't know.
True. Maybe that's not, like, a rock hard, definitely.
Yeah, and it was one person. The only thing that they all agreed on was that there was...
lungs
and
which
muscle
does
fiber and
make
cartilage.
Sense for vultures eating that. They're scavengers
exactly.
And all
They're
that.
not going to be picky about that.
They might eat a human child's.
Let's hope not. Let's hope it was just mutton or something.
I feel like
it was a sheep.
Yeah, I feel like the idea that it was like a human child's lung is like, well, how many kids had to be killed to make a bucket or a wagon full of meat? Anyway, that's really gross. We don't need to.
let's next subject.
It's not child's, okay, guys? Not human child's.
And while this is regarded as the most plausible explanation for the incident, but there is one major hole in it, and you touched on this earlier. Mrs. Crouch. Okay, by the way, I keep saying Mrs. Crouch because I tried and I can't find her first name anywhere. Oh. So she's just Mrs. Crouch.
Works for me. We know who. There's only one lady, so
Mrs. Crouch that's her name.
Yeah.
She's got no first name apparently. She was the only witness to
convenient Mrs. Crouch.
Well, she was the only witness to the actual shower, the actual meat falling from the sky.
Yeah.
Tons of people saw that their yard was covered in weird meat. Can you imagine, like, the whole town comes running and they're just like, whoa.
You got a lot of meat in your yard.
What happened here? Some of it was, like, stuck to fences and stuff.
Oh, nasty.
I know, right? Gross. So, yeah. But she specifically stated to reporters that the sky was completely clear. Mm-hmm. There was a light west breeze. It was sunny. There were no...
Sounds like a beautiful day.
Sounds like a beautiful day.
Minus the meat falling.
She said, like, these were the conditions that the shower occurred, and the sky was clear. So to say that there was a giant flock of vultures flying overhead would be to completely disregard.
Yeah, because again, like,
her testimony.
Yeah, and when you come, like, it's not like it was just a couple pieces and, like, it could have been a tiny bird that she didn't notice. Like, that amount of meat would have to be literally...
A wagon full,
which is a lot. I mean, and vultures are huge. How big are they?
They're really big.
They're huge.
They're really big.
You notice a vulture.
I've seen them flying pretty close. They're not... I think they've got, like, a 6-foot wingspan or something.
That's as long as I am.
You would notice a flock of them that... I mean, if there was...
You notice one of me when I walk around into a room.
If there were enough vultures overhead to disgorge a wagon load of meat, you'd think she would have seen something.
Yeah. So that is weird. Because, like, that does make sense up until that point. And also if they were just, like, eating it.
And she was very specific. Like, it wasn't even just, like, I looked out my window and there was things falling from the sky. She was outside.
Yeah, since she was outside too. Like,
while it was falling.
Yeah, and she seems like otherwise, like, a pretty trustworthy person. Like, did her testimony change a lot? Did you see, like, different accounts, or was it always
she said the same thing every time. She said it was clear and sunny and it was a nice day and meat started slapping the ground.
Horrifying.
Let's just hope that this never ever happens again.
Oh my gosh.
Because, I mean, you hear accounts of weird things falling from the sky, like fish and frogs, but there's always a pretty good explanation for that, you know.
But, like, just random pieces of meat.
Yeah.
And we were both raised vegetarian, so meat is not my favorite food. So,
and
like, I hate
meat
cooking.
Makes it worse too.
Yeah,
it's like if it was like pieces of chicken started raining down, I'd be like, okay, that's weird.
Chicken nuggets raining from the sky.
I'm less disgusted.
Yeah. But just like
chicken nuggets raining from the sky.
Yeah, I would actually be okay with that. But like just random pieces of unidentifiable meat. Oh my gosh.
That was like lung tissue and cartilage.
Yeah,
too.
it's not even like, oh, this is
gross on so many levels.
This is a sirloin steak. Like,
yeah. No. It wasn't, pieces of ham.
Pieces of ham.
Falling from the sky.
Ham falling.
There are so many ways that this could have been less gross.
Yeah. But no.
I digress. What do you think is the most plausible explanation?
I mean, I think that the guys murdering each other and chopping each other up into bits and then having a whirlwind carry it over makes the most sense.
Of course.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, I'm not saying that does make sense, but like, when you actually think about it, like, I feel like the other ones don't really hold up all that well either.
If it had been less meat, I might be like, but I don't think 2 men could have filled up a wagon.
No, probably not. Unless
I don't really
there were
want to
3
think about
men
that.
and one of them killed the other 2, and then there was just this random vortex of wind that plopped it into the yard, which I don't...
Also, there would probably be like pieces of their clothing and stuff, unless they were like knife fighting while naked. Okay, never mind.
Weird.
This just got a little too weird
situation. No, I don't actually think that it was a person. And I feel like, I know this was the 1870s?
Yeah.
Okay. 1876, but like I feel like people would have known, like doctors and the scientists would have been able to recognize human flesh.
I think they'd done enough
An autopsy?
Autopsy. To recognize human flesh when they saw it.
Yeah, and especially like that much to work with. They would have noticed. So I don't...
Might explain why nobody knew what the meat was.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
Gross.
Actually, a weird thing is that there is supposedly a piece of the meat in existence somewhere. I don't know where it's in. I think it's in a museum somewhere. But it's not...
Surely they've tested it.
It's not 100% authenticated.
Oh, so it could just be someone's... this is my chicken cutlet.
But it's reported to be...
Where is it? I want to go
see it. Don't know.
Can't believe you didn't include that information.
I wasn't even going to say that, but then I looked at how little time we've actually been talking, and I thought it might be a good idea.
It's okay. This is a mini episode.
Yes.
I honestly feel like, getting back to the theories, though, like, I don't know. I was gonna say the vultures, but that still doesn't make any sense to me unless we agree that Mrs. Crouch is mistaken at some point in her testimony.
Yeah, I mean, it is... She is the only witness, but she's also... There was only one witness, and people... I mean, I don't know what she saw. She was looking... Was she? I don't know. I don't even know her first name.
Yeah. All we know is she's Mrs. Crouch.
She's Mrs. Crouch in literally every account of this.
Yeah. Man,
I mean, she was looking... and I assume she was looking down when she was making soap. Yeah. So it's possible that maybe they flew over
how
really
fast
quickly.
did this happen? Did it all just, like, plonk down at once?
It says several minutes.
Okay.
See, the thing is...
So she would have had time to look up and see...
Yeah, it wasn't just that they all... one splat of them.
Yeah.
It was enough time to be like, okay, why is meat falling from the sky? The logical thing to do would be to look up. And vultures, I don't think they would be flying that high if they were puking as a defense mechanism. Like, it would have been pretty recent that they were taking off.
Yeah, and it would have been, like...
They're not going to get, like, hundreds of feet up in the air and then let their lunch go.
That's so strange. I do feel like the vulture vomit is the best theory, but I still don't think that it explains it. It's just the best. It's still
an unsolved mystery.
Yeah.
It's just that's the explanation that's generally favored.
Because it does make the most sense, but it also doesn't at all. Like, I have huge questions about it. But
it's basically the only one that's even remotely possible, and that's why it's the one that's generally regarded.
Yeah, but to me, it's like... It still doesn't explain it at all.
No, it doesn't.
Man.
Hopefully someday somebody can figure this out.
We need to test that piece of meat.
I think somebody did run some tests on it. I really should. I should have kept my mouth shut, not even mentioned that.
Actually, now I need to know.
Because I don't have the answers for that. I looked up.
I'm sure though, if they had figured it out. I mean, since it's not actually verified that it came from the actual meat shower,
canned, so maybe they didn't want to open it up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And possibly expose it to.
That does make sense. And also, even if we do find out what it is,
it doesn't explain why it was falling from the sky.
It doesn't explain how it got there. Yeah, so
it's like, so we open it up when you test, and it is indeed mutton.
Like,
what's that going to tell us?
Okay, thanks a lot. How did it get there? Man, that is such a mystery.
It's a mystery.
It's weird, one might say.
Yes.
Well, we thank you for joining us for this week's episode, and we hope you enjoyed. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you keep listening, and we hope you come back next week for
more weird crap.